beautiful day it is up here. Hey everyone, I thought it's time we had a quick chat about the new vehicle emissions scheme in Australia. Interesting one, new vehicle emissions scheme. And this is going to be kind of the non-official video. You can go and look it up and read the exact wording. If people know it or want to copy and paste into the comments, that'd be awesome. But I'm just going to give a broad overview, very rough, to explain simply in simple terms what it means for most people. But before we do, a quick reminder, if anybody around Melbourne would like to get their vehicle into the Prado Hospital, the only time to contact me is Monday to Wednesday in the morning, preferably around 9 AM with a text message only. That's the only time you should be contacting me, but you can do whatever you need to do, but you've been asked not to. The other really important thing this year in 2025, the first year of the new vehicle emissions scheme, we're going to be closed quite a lot because I've got an NA scheme, and it's called a new Anthony scheme, and that is more holidays, more workshop closures. Doesn't mean we're not around and doing a bit of work in the background, but it just means leave me alone to get the work done. We could be doing workshop maintenance, restocking, or we could actually be on holidays. But anyway, this year in April, the first week of April and the last week of April is our last and only weeks. So the 3 weeks in the middle, we're going to be completely closed. I'd expect not to get a text message about anything, even if it is an emergency. So nothing at all this April for those main 3 weeks on the Melbourne Victoria school holidays. Thanks for listening to that reminder. Now, new vehicle emissions scheme in Australia. I'm not the expert on it. I've got a rough idea on it. I've gathered a bit of info and I kind of forget. So I'm going to give you the way I understand it from my memory. And if you want me to just give you the shocker straight away, it seems like if you want to buy a Ford Mustang in 2029, you're going to be paying about an extra 50 grand tax. Now, I can't predict the future, and there's variables to this scheme. It'll probably change, and it depends what that manufacturer does in efficient EVs and how they manage their carbon and all this garbage as to what's actually really going to happen. So let me put it to you in the terms that as simple as I can understand it. So it started this year in 2025. So that means any vehicle, and I think it's based on when the dealer pays for the car from the manufacturer. So for example, if a Nissan dealer paid for a Nissan Patrol in December 2024, you know, to Nissan Australia, then it's probably clear of this tax, and that's probably why someone like myself got a cheaper price. But even if you know someone and you get the best cracker price, you're probably going to be paying at least $2,000 or $3,000 more for a vehicle that the dealer paid for in 2025, and it's going to get, besides normal inflation and price increases, it's also going to get hit by this tax. In 2026 it'll be more, in 2027 more again, 2028, 2029. Let's just talk about the 5 years. This is the important part. So, long story short, if you're still around and you want to buy a vehicle that chews the juice, a high emissions vehicle, guess what? Now's the time to do it, right? It's like buying property. There's no time better than now. Well, you know, they say buying at the high at the end of a boom's not good because it's going to drop, but in the long term, there's no time better than now. Is anything really ever any cheaper than it was before? Just look every 10 years. It'll be up every time. Property is out of control. I think it's one of the best investments, but that's a separate video. Why? Because you can actually use it and it makes you money. It's not really making you money, it's just keeping your money worth the same as all the other value. But like I said, that's a financial video. We're not doing that here. If you want to see some of that stuff, let me know in the comments, because I can do that too. And you might not agree, but everybody's got their opinion on finance and money, that sort of thing. So back to this new vehicle emission scheme. 2025 it started. It depends how much extra fuel the vehicle uses as to what you're going to be up for, you know, if you want to work out how much you're going to be up for. So the less fuel efficient it is, the more you're going to be up for. And it's also got to do with that manufacturer, what other vehicles they've got and how efficient they are. If, say for example, I mean, Tesla obviously only sells electric vehicles, so they could sell some 10 litre V12 turbo per cylinder trucks and probably not have this tax on them because they offset with all their electric vehicles, but every manufacturer is different. A lot of them haven't got these EVs, and I suppose this is something that has been pushing everyone to EVs and hybrids and better options, and I totally agree with better options. And for some for some people, electric vehicles are the go. If you want to live in the city and the smog and all the busyness and just live in a little box and charge your car and just go short distances, hey mate, guess what, the smallest little electric vehicle, that's for you. Then wouldn't we be suggesting ride your bike, maybe an e-bike? Anyway, so one extreme to the other, but out here in this country where we're traveling, we need vehicles with range. I don't see charging stations all the time. When I do happen to see charging stations, they're often broken, so that doesn't work. And we're not really talking about that too much. Back to the new vehicle scheme. It's a scheme, that's for sure. Now, started in 2025. Let's just draw a circle around the target for fuel economy being, let's say 7 litres per 100 Ks, right? Now, like I said, it varies, and I'm not going to give you the exact numbers, but what I'm going to give you is very similar to and relevant, and going to give you the info you need. So in 2025, if the target's 7 litres per 100 Ks, well, that's cool. So if you buy a vehicle that does about 7, more or less, draw a circle around it, you might not cop that tax. But if you buy a vehicle that does 12 litres per 100 Ks, you know, on the sticker thing, the test thing, then it might include a few grand of tax. Again, it depends on the manufacturer. There's all these variables, so I can't predict or tell you that. I'm not even giving you the exact numbers on what the target is this year. I'm going from memory, and I'm pretty sure it was about 7 litres per 100 Ks, but guess what it goes down to, the target in 2026? Yep, 1 litre per 100 less. And 2027, another litre per 100 less. And you want to guess about 2028? Yep, about a litre per 100 less again. And what do you reckon it might be in 2029 by now? Yeah, you're getting good at this, another 1 litre less. So that means in 5 years' time, the target is something like 3 litres per 100 kilometres. It might be 2 or 3 or 4 or 2.9, or again, I'm going from memory. I've got a pretty good memory. The things I recall, people tell me, man, people tell me you've got a good memory. You know, if someone thinks I've got a bad memory, well, no, you know, I just don't need to remember things I don't need to remember. But I tell you what, I've got some awesome memories, and I could surprise the hell out of anyone with some of the stories I can tell you and what I remember. But I could be wrong. So in 2029, if you're going to buy a vehicle that's 15 or 20 litres per 100 Ks, you're going to cop it big time on the tax. And this is how, the cost of the vehicle is going to deter you from buying it, right? Fair enough, right? Look, something needs to be done. So I'm not saying I agree or disagree with this. Of course, things can always be done better because it's done by those awesome people that got a piece of paper because they followed the system and did what they were told. Isn't always the smartest, best common sense. You know, look the way they run things. I shouldn't be going there, but you know, let's just have a look at the dirt we're in, and you know, couldn't manage it, couldn't walk a stick through a rainforest. You know, ridiculous. But anyway, that's another story. But by listening to my rants, you sort of get to know me a bit, and you get to gather some information, and you can go and check on it yourself, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going, new vehicle emission scheme, I've never heard of that, what's that, is this right? Well, you go do your Googling now and go and use your other search engines, because Google isn't always the best one and doesn't show you things that you might want to see. You've got to be careful what search engine you use. See, we're getting deep here. And, you know, you go do your searching and let us know in the comments. Copy and paste, tell us from which website and exactly what the numbers are, and you'll find what I'm saying is accurate, right? They're not going to change it. What's going to happen after 2029, I don't know that. This is a 5-year scheme, as I understand it at this point. I've done limited research on it. I'm a busy guy. I've got better things to do, like drive up the road here. So, in my opinion, it will work really well to push the manufacturers into making more efficient vehicles, which is why what you've seen happening for years, this isn't a new thing. They've obviously known about it for years, if not a decade. The way things have been going, you could predict it. You know, something by the world powers is going to happen to make these things happen. What are they going to do for existing vehicles? I don't know. That's a hard one, because you've outlaid there's a lot of people that have outlaid a lot of money on cars, and if they try and hit us with some big running tax or to keep them on the road, which I predict they will do and try and do before they do, so stay tuned, watch what's happening on the ground. otherwise you will get screwed even more. So my point is, it will certainly make the manufacturers make more efficient vehicles. It'll make less efficient vehicles really expensive over the next 5 years. Lucky I got my before that scheme, because it was actually paid for by the dealer, I believe, because of the pricing I got was really good, and the owner of the dealership, we know, could not go anywhere near matching that price, and the only thing we could figure out is he has to pay for the car this year in 2025, which I would guess adds probably 2 or 3 grand of this tax I speak of. New vehicle emissions scheme, not a new vehicle incentive scheme, that's for sure. Anyway, bada bing, bada boom. 1 minute, throw money at everyone, tax deductions, buy whatever you want. Next minute, no, none of that, but you'll be paying this much extra, and of course it's going to save the world, because the world hasn't been around for billions of years, and we've figured it all out in about 100 years of where the records that we're changing all these things. Well, doesn't really sound like it makes sense either, but there'll be varying opinions on that based on what beliefs you've got from whatever your education and research is, and I could be wrong and you could be wrong, and I love you all too much to argue, so who gives a stuff? Let's just make sure but by the way, I'm driving the 120, and this is still my absolute favourite vehicle. I do love the other 120 V6 as well. I probably love it more in that it's stock standard, so it's nice and light and zippy, and it'll be interesting because over the next 2 or 3 years, slowly, maybe even 3 or 4 years, I'm going to be transferring the gear from this vehicle. Hasn't started yet, it's not starting soon, but in that time period when my daughter supposedly is going to take this vehicle off my hands, I'm going to retire the vehicle at 500,000 kilometers thereabouts. She's going to take control. If she's happy with it, I'm going to slowly peel the things off it she doesn't need, and they're going to go onto the V6 120, and it will probably continue, but a lot less kilometers doing what this vehicle's done, and we'll just see how it goes as a comparison. So you might, if you're like me, you might want to make sure you've got a diesel and a V6 just in case I say one's better than the other, but I think we already know the answer for which purpose, which engines are better than the other, that sort of thing. They're both awesome vehicles and engines. They've both got their own unique set of problems. Yep, I can talk about whatever I want in videos, because all the regulars that are subscribed, that watch all the videos to the end, they love it, and I'm here to help you. So bada bing, bada boom, people. Bit of excitement, what a day, and hopefully you got something out of that. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.